get ready to get sticky. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Corona Crush is creating Jewish couples always. Join the Facebook group. Just search Corona Crush and look out for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. They're 100% free and 100% Jewish. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel, which obviously you already know because I'm unforgettable. Everyone, please remember, whatever platform you're listening on, hit that follow button. If you have the options, I think it might only be on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating, 5 stars only, please, and a review. Only nice stuff. If you have anything mean to say or any constructive criticism, you can tell me, but just like send me a DM. Don't put it out for the public. Only nice things for other people to see. But yeah, I am receptive to any criticisms you may have. And also, like, if you want to chat it out on the podcast, I'd love to have you on. So that gets me to my next point of if you would like to be a guest on my podcast, please, I have applications. You can reach out to me. I'll give you the socials in a second. You can send me a DM, or as all of you know, Corona Crush, my main sponsor, I make posts on it every episode. And I always include this little link for a Google form if you want to come be a guest. So fill out that application. So also like us on Facebook, follow Sticky Situations Pod on Instagram, follow Sticky Situations Pod on TikTok. And if you want to send a DM, probably best to send it on Instagram, Sticky Situations Pod. You can also send me an email at stickysituationspod@gmail.com. That also goes for if you want to date me or any of my single guests. You can also shoot me a DM. I have applications for that as well. The applications are on the Instagram page. I have them in like the story highlights. They're also on the Facebook page somewhere. So that's really what the Facebook page is used for. I honestly haven't posted on it in a while, but go ahead and follow it anyways. Okay, so now that business is taken care of, we can just get right to it. So today I have an extra special guest. Everybody, please welcome to the podcast my friend Hailey. Hailey, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. I'm so excited.
Me too. I can't wait.
So, Hailey, before we get into your stories and everything, I always ask my guests, just so my listeners have some more information. Can you please tell me and my listeners your age, location, relationship status, and religious denomination?
Sure. So I am 25 years old and I currently live in Israel. And my relationship status is single and I am traditional Jewish. So I do like kashrut and chagim and all that fun stuff. Yeah. But I wear pants.
For those of you who don't know, chagim are like the Jewish holidays. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, should we get into it? Are you ready?
Let's do
it. Okay, I'm excited to hear. Okay, so let's hear some of your dating stories.
Oh gosh, where do I begin? Maybe we could start with my last dating story.
Sure.
I went on a date really recently, like 2 weeks ago. I downloaded the app OkCupid. Pretty sure everyone's heard of it because, I'm 25, Corona happened and I felt like it's like really hard these days to meet someone like outside. Like when you go to a bar or just you're outdoors, like, I don't know, it's really hard to meet someone. So I thought, why not download an app? So I got OkCupid and I matched up with this guy on there that was like hitting all the marks for me, like dating wise. Like he was traditional like me, because that, like, I want someone that's like Judaism wise matching with me. That's really important. He was like 28 years old, has a good job, like has a head on his shoulders, whatever. So we were speaking for a few weeks. The reason it took so long to go on a date is because I kept getting sick, but we eventually, like, we kept in touch and we went out. He like picked me up after Shabbat ended on a Saturday night, which was really nice. He picked me up from my apartment and took me to like grab a hamburger, and we were just chatting. And gosh, I kid you not, the whole date, like he was going on about how it's the worst thing in the world to be fat and how there are so many fat people on the planet and that he like does all these triathlons and he's really fit and he's never had like a Coke before and he eats like chocolate a few times a year and like physique and figure and physical looks are like the most important thing in the world, and it's so terrible that people like, as he said, let themselves go and everyone around him is getting fat, and like he works at a hospital here in Israel and all the doctors he works with are getting so fat, and it's like, what example are they setting for their patients because they're fat so they're not healthy? And like he was like, I'd rather die than be fat, it's so horrible, like gaining weight, like people just don't even care how they look. And I was like horrified, like he was going on for an hour. I was just shocked. I like never met anybody like that in my life. um yeah, I was baffled. I He wanted to go out again and I was like, no, we're not a good match, no thanks.
That would be
Yeah,
such a hard life, like only eating chocolate every like a few times a year. Like
right.
what kind of life is that?
No,
I don't
I
know.
eat
Like
chocolate, yeah, daily
I eat
basis.
chocolate every day. Like
So
I
do
don't know.
I.
I've done my share of like crazy diets and like all of that. And
Yeah,
what the conclusion I've come to it is just be healthy and feel good in your
yeah.
body. It's like body positivity. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
built differently. It's not like you can just, I don't know. It's not as easy as what he's saying.
Right,
And
but
it's like
also, yeah,
also like why judge people like that? Like you
yeah,
don't know their lives. Like thank God like you don't have problems, but like other people have problems. Like people have thyroid problems, people have hormone problems, people
yeah.
have all types of things that you don't even know about. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe people can't work out, they have problems with their joints and their bones and their like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very like I would have given him a piece of my mind. I probably would have left actually.
Yeah, I'm too nice sometimes. Honestly, my friends always like Hailey, you're so nice. You're so like, you know, but I don't know. I honestly was just shocked. I like, you know what? I don't know if you've ever had this situation, but I was just so shocked at like what he
Mhm.
was saying. I was like trying, my brain was trying to process like, oh my gosh, is he actually saying these things? Like this can't be like a real person. Like I think it's fine to want to be healthy and it's so great that he's focused on that, but like you shouldn't judge other people, and also like everyone has fat and like someday he's probably going to get fat. Like your metabolism, like as you get older, like a woman's body and a man's body changes. Like there are very few people in their 50s that are like really fit. Like it's just normal. It's like part of aging and just being a normal
Yeah.
human being. Like even people, I don't know, like I just I just feel like he was really extreme about it, and I was like, that's really not like a match for me in the way he was talking about people. Like he's kept saying that it was like disgusting to him, and it was he was grossed out by seeing people with like not even fat, but like the smallest bit of weight. Like people gaining 10 pounds is like letting yourself go. And I was just like this guy is delusional in my opinion. Like that's my, maybe that's a little bit harsh, but that's really how I felt. I was just like really shocked. Yeah,
Yeah, I would be too. Wait, I want to ask you a question.
sure.
So you mentioned you met him on OK Cupid, and like that's the app that you downloaded. It's just funny because like I've never heard of anyone in the States like doing that, because I'm sure like in Israel, like if you download OK Cupid, it's like Jews, right? Because they're
Yeah,
in
for the
Israel.
most part. Yeah, there are some
Is
non-Jews on there, but it's very few and in between. Um,
so that's so interesting because here it's like, oh, you get like J Swipe or
mhm.
even like Hinge, like a lot of the religious Jews are on, but it's like a lot of these apps, it's like you have to weed through the Jew, like weed through like a lot of people. Like even I used to have Bumble like way back in the day, like before I don't even remember when I had it. It was like before I like even got into like a relationship like a couple years ago. And I remember you could filter it by religion, but you had
Mhm.
no idea like if how religious someone was. And
Right.
that's the same with Hinge now. But even on Bumble, you can't even filter for religious anymore. Like meaning
Mhm.
like religion. Like so it's like all these guys and you have to like guess if they're Jewish. Or it says it, but
Right.
it's like you have to look at every single person's profile. It's not like, oh, you're only seeing the Jews. So I think that's so interesting that in
Yeah.
Israel it's just like all these apps, it's like it's all Jews.
Yeah, that makes it easier if like it's important to you, which for a lot of Jewish people it is, but also like you also have to weed through. Like when I first got OK Cupid, I was so overwhelmed. Like within 2 hours, I got over 100 messages. like matches.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, wow, this is wild. But I only accepted like two of them because a lot of the guys that were matching with me, like what I love about OkCupid, first of all, is that you can really narrow it down. Like it says, like, is God important to you? Do you keep kosher? It's like very narrowed down. So that's why I downloaded the app, because I heard it's so specific. And I'm like, wow, for people that their values are really important to them, especially like Judaism wise, like me, this is so nice because I can see like where these guys are at. But like all the guys that matched with me, most of them, like 90%, they like, I feel like they didn't look at my profile or didn't care. Like they were all atheists or not. Some of them were Jewish. And I was like, that's not something I'm
Yeah.
even willing to try. So I'm like, why are you matching with me? So you also all the time have to like just weave through them. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like any other one. Like I feel
For
like guys
sure.
don't look at profiles on anything. I
Yeah. I
have
feel like
got
I'm
like
looking at your picture.
like I
Honestly.
have I pay for a service and like
Yeah.
I like a matchmaking service and like guys will go on there and literally not read my profile. I had like
Right.
a couple of video calls with this guy who was like kind of like more on the yeshivish end or like the very like machmir end of modern orthodox, which is like very like strict and like
Mm-hmm.
I identify as modern orthodox, but I wear pants. I don't really want to cover my hair when I get married. I keep Shabbat, I keep kosher. That stuff and like Judaism is very important to me.
Yeah.
Um I it's important to me to live in a community and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like some stuff I just like am chill about and I just don't care as much. And like we talked about it and like from our first call I was like this guy is like way too religious for me. Like even from seeing his profile I was like I'll give him a chance, but like I just feel like he's too religious. So finally at the end of our second call I was like, "Hey, like there's just like a couple things I want to like talk to you about." Like
Mm-hmm.
and I brought it up and he was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "It's literally written on my profile. Like it's written on my profile that I wear pants. It's written on my profile that I don't want to cover my hair. Like all of these things are written." He's like, "Oh my gosh, I just like I guess I didn't read it." I'm like, "Are you stupid?" And then like this other guy also matched with me and like I have my settings where like the guy gets the match first and then once they accept I see it. This other guy
Mm-hmm.
he was like socially off in so many other ways but like
Oh gosh.
but he was like he his one thing like at the bottom it has like oh describe your personality, describe what you're looking for in a partner, like just so you could write a little blurb. All he said in his little blurb about what you're looking for in a partner is I'm looking for a girl who's from the Muncie area. Muncie is like a city in New York. It's very heavily populated with Jews and heavily
Mm-hmm.
populated with religious Jews. And I'm like, I'm literally from Ohio. Like, I have no interest in being in Muncie. I have no interest in being near Muncie. I have no interest in any of this. Like, did you not read my profile? Like, it says where I grew up. It says where I live now. It says all of this. So, like, why do
Yep.
you accept it? And he seemed very socially off in other ways, so I like didn't accept the match. But I'm like, why don't these guys read anything?
I'm telling you, they don't read. I tell my friends all the time, they just look at your picture. They
Maybe
don't
they're
read.
illiterate. Like,
They that too, but I really that and they don't read. It's 50-50.
yeah, guys, can you confirm that you are able to read, please? Like, somebody just let me know.
Maybe we should write that in our profiles. Like must know how to read, must be literate.
Yeah. Hailey, let's hear another one of your stories.
Another one of my stories. Oh, this is the winning story, I think.
Okay.
I no, really. No, my mom loves this story. She laughs like all the time whenever I tell it. And the reason I tell it, my mom's heard it like 20 times, is because she likes to invite guests, tell them this story. And I'm like, oh, are you serious? So, okay. So last summer, it was 2022. I got set up with this guy. Like I was 24 at the time. He was like 26, 27. I'm like, oh, what's up? Just like basic stuff. We found out we're like with the religious stuff like is important to him too, like Judaism and stuff, and that's the most important thing to me. So I was like, sure, let's do it. So he picks me up in his car, um and I like go inside and I'm like, oh hi, it's so nice to meet you. And the first thing he asks me, he doesn't even say nice to meet you or how are you, like a usual casual like hello kind of thing. He was like, what do you think of my car? And I was like, yeah, I was like I'm not into cars. I don't even know Like, unless there's the bumper thing on the back that says what kind of car it is, I don't know what a Honda is. Tesla, don't ask me what kind of car you have. And so he asked me if I like his car, and I was like, sure, like, yeah, it's a nice car. And he's like, that's it. And then he went on for 10 minutes. He wanted to get ice cream. So the whole drive there, like, it was really close to my apartment. He was like, oh, I got this car. After I finished my army service, I got a huge loan from the bank and saved up, and I got this car. It was like a white sports car. I don't know what kind of car. And he was going on and on about a car and how the car is his baby. He gave it, yeah, he calls it his baby. I was like, oh gosh, it's one of these guys in my head. And I was like, no, benefit of the doubt. It's just a guy that likes his car. Lots of guys like cars. I was like, whatever, brush it off. So he parks it in the parking garage. We get there like 10 minutes later, and there's like, in Israel, there's lots of cats everywhere. And there was this, we got out of the car and there was like this cat like 2 cars away, and he's like, we can't leave the garage. And I was like, why not? And he was like, what if this cat scratches my car? What if this cat scratches my baby?
Oh my God.
This is like the very beginning. Like, this is like in the first 30 minutes. Like, I was like, no, you got to be joking right now. I was like, I scared the cat away. I was like, there you go. Now the cat's gone. Like, let's go on. And then we went to this ice cream place that's like on the marina. Like, there's a few of them in Israel where it's just like there's boats and there's like lots of there's ice cream and like some bars and restaurants, and it's nice to walk around. So he's like, do you want to walk around before you grab some ice cream, whatever? And I was like, sure. And the date lasted 3 hours. He did not ask me one question, like nothing. He just spoke about himself the whole time. At one point, he was like, what do you think of my outfit? And I was like, your outfit, he was wearing like a button-down shirt and jeans. And I was like, your outfit's so nice. Like, it's nice. And he's like, yeah, but my dad, like, my shirt's wrinkly. I'm so embarrassed. He didn't iron it the way I like. And I was like, oh gosh. And then not long after, he asked me, he like opened his phone and he's like, do you want to look at my Instagram? I post like 3 photos a day. And like, I want you to rate my outfits on there. And I was like, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, like, look, I want you to look at my style and stuff. So he's showing me the thousands of photos that he has on there. And he finally decides that he wants to get ice cream, and we're waiting in line. And because it's after Shabbat, it's a little bit packed with like lots of people. And we wait in line for a few good minutes. And so we finally got to be our turn. We were next in line, and there was this elderly, well, looks like an elderly couple behind us. They were at least in like their 80s. Like, the one was with a walker, and they like kind of went to the side to go in front of us, which is totally fine because they're old. And then, I kid you not, he shoots his hand out and he's like, we were here first. And I was so embarrassed. And so all the workers were also shocked because these people were very old, visibly, and frail. And I was like, oh my God, like, let them go first. And he's like, oh yeah, totally. Like, I'm sorry, like, go in front of us. And they were so like shocked. They were like, no, we don't want to ruin your date. And so they wouldn't go. So embarrassing. So we went and we ordered our stuff. And then we sit down outside, and there's like families there and children. And he starts talking about how much he works out and he's super fit. And then he was like, I have a 6-pack.
You and all these super fit guys.
Yeah, right. Not on purpose. It's like, I want the dad bod. Like, I don't even care if you're.
We just want some chubby guys. Like,
yeah, chubby guys all the way. Seriously though, like, I don't go after these guys on purpose. I don't even find out that they're into fitness until on the date. And then he asked me if I want to see his 6-pack. And I was like, I already saw it in the photos you showed me earlier on Instagram that he shoved in my face. And he's like, no, I'll show you right now. Before I knew it, he took off his shirt.
Took it all the way off.
Completely off in the ice cream shop. And there's children and families trying to enjoy their ice cream. And this guy's shirtless. By the way, doesn't have a 6-pack in the end, which is fine, but don't lie about it. It was not a 6-pack. It was just a regular tummy. And I was like, oh my God. And then he like just left it off. And I was like, oh my God. At one point, we were like sitting near the water because we're at the marina. And I started at this point, like turning around, like doing 180s. And he's like, why do you keep turning your neck like that? I thought maybe it was like I was on a prank show because the date was so bad. I was literally like, maybe those shows that they have in the States, you know, they have all those what would you do? Or I was like, maybe there's a show about horrible dates and maybe I'm being filmed. Like maybe this guy is not for real. And I really thought that there were cameras there. Like I started turning my head and that's the only question he asked me all night because he didn't ask me anything, just asked me why I was straining my neck. And then yeah, and then he's just sitting there. He keeps talking about himself, doesn't ask me anything. And then he goes, yeah, with me, you know, I'm the whole package. I'm good looking and I'm intelligent. Like he said that word for word. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, nah, okay. Like,
Well, he wasn't wearing a shirt.
no, he put it back on at that point, but still, he's like, with me, you get the whole package. And I was just like, you are like in my head, I was like, you are like the opposite. I was like, get me out of here. And then he's like, oh, I'm having such a good time. Do you want to grab a bite? And I was like, no, I have to work. Like, take me home. And then he took me home and I go up the elevator. And then when I go out and I have service, like a minute later, he texted me, hey, how was tonight? What'd you think? Like a minute later. So I was like, I don't have the brain power to answer this right now. After
Yeah.
this date, I needed to process what happened to me during those hours, what I went through with this really weird guy. Um, and then the next day I responded and I was like, hi, I don't think we're a good fit. Like, good luck. And he was like, I don't understand how you can judge on a first date. And I was so close to writing to him and being rude, but I'm not like that. But I was so close to being like, after a first date like that, I can. But I didn't. I just said, I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you anything. You just have to respect me. And he was like, no, I get that. That's fair. Like, good luck to you. And then a week later, he texted me. He's like, did you change your mind by chance? Like, please could reconsider. And I was like, please stop contacting me. Like, the answer is no. And he was like, okay, your choice, but you're gonna regret it. And that was like one of my weirdest dates.
That's
Yeah.
so okay. So I have a couple things aside from the actual date. That's just like so crazy. I don't know what I would do if a guy just like took his shirt off in the middle of a date, like to show me his six pack. Also, like I don't want to be on a date with a guy with a six pack. Like, but
He didn't have one in the end, so
yeah,
yeah.
but that's just so weird. Wait, okay. Number one, was this guy Israeli? Israeli? Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
okay. So
Ugh.
I feel like this story makes a little more sense knowing that fact.
I'm laughing, but it's true.
It's so true.
I didn't want to be the one to say it. I didn't want to be the one to be like, they're Israeli. I didn't want to say it.
No offense to Israeli guys. Like, listen, one of my ex-boyfriends was Israeli, even though he doesn't like
Yeah.
saying he's Israeli because he's like, I was born in America. I'm like, okay, fine. He was like totally normal dude. But like a lot of these guys who are Israeli, like you know that they're Israeli.
Yep.
And like I'm
Mhm.
not saying I'm not into Israelis. Again, we're not dissing Israelis, but like there's just something about Israelis.
Yep.
Um we love them, but like also it's a lot.
We love them, but do we want to marry them? Not so sure.
I don't
Um,
know. Maybe a good one. I don't know.
where are the good ones?
That's the whole question, the overarching question of dating.
Yeah. Ugh.
But okay, also, so what I hate, okay, I recently had this also. I don't like when a guy just texts me like, "What did you think?"
Right.
Like, okay, like why are you putting me on the spot? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, and like a minute after, I mean, like, I'm okay. And I think I've talked about this on previous episodes. I'm okay with like sending a message like maybe an hour later or like the next morning. But like a minute later, like a girl we need time to process. Don't you need time to process?
Yeah.
Like everyone needs time to process. Guys, girls, everyone. And then I also, the pushback. I hate that.
Yeah.
I've had that also. And I'm just like, can't you just like respect me?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like okay, reaching out a week later is like a lot. Like maybe if like a few months had gone by, a year, and he's like, oh yeah, I went on this date with this girl. Maybe like we both changed. I don't know. Like maybe I'll reach out and see like if she wants to give it another shot. That's okay. But a
Mm-hmm.
week later to be like, did you change your mind? Did you change your mind? Like what the heck?
Yeah. No, I did not change my mind, but I did tell everyone that story, so that's
Yeah,
what I
no,
did.
that's a great story. I would tell everyone that story too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like it took me some time but as I was telling friends, I was like, oh, I came to the realization, I was like, I feel kind of, not that I'm excusing his behavior, like he's definitely easy no, but I felt kind of bad for him in the sense of like the fact that he was showing me his Instagram pictures and was asking me about his car and his looks and talking about how attractive he thinks he is. I feel like that guy was like giving me the vibes that he's just super insecure in himself. Like,
Yeah. Cause like a
you
guy
know?
who's secure, like I don't know, like I'll tell you this, like I've had like my ex-boyfriend drove really nice cars. Like
Mhm.
that was his thing. He was like really into cars and I dated him for a few months and we talked about it like when we were dating. But when he picked me up on the first date in a white Mercedes, like I don't think he said anything about it. Like
Right.
he was just like there and like okay, that's the car he drives. And like, okay, maybe we talked about it like later on and like he had a historical car and he was just like really into cars. And like
Mhm.
one time like he had a car show and he's like, "Do you want me to pick you up in the car?" And I'm like, "Okay, like this is cool." And then he like drove me around in the city in it. But like
Yeah.
we were dating. It wasn't like, "Oh my god, let me show everything off to you right now."
Yeah.
Like I don't like that. I like when a guy like number one, like I'm not a car person either. So I don't care if a guy picks me up in like a Mercedes, a Tesla, like you were saying,
Right.
or like literal beat up, like whatever. I'm like, as long as it has like air conditioning and heat, like I'm okay. Like,
Right.
like like I don't care. Like, okay, if you pick me up in the winter, it's really nice if it has butt warmers and you put the butt warmers on for me. But
Right.
like,
Oh, they don't have those in Israel. Like I've never been in a car that has one of those.
oh my gosh. So um that ex I dated in the summer, so it wasn't really relevant. But my other ex I dated in the winter, and anytime he always picked me up. So anytime he picked me up, he always had the butt warmer on for me. It
Oh,
was so nice.
that sounds so nice,
I
honestly.
don't even remember what type of car he drove. Like, I don't care. I'm like, you're picking me up in a car. This is great. I live in New York City. I love this.
Yeah.
And then he put the butt warmers on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally being spoiled right now. So,
I would feel the same way, but I think the car thing is an Israeli thing because the first date story that I shared that was recent where we got burgers, I don't know how all the guys I'm going out with are really into cars or have fancy cars, but he picked me up in a Tesla. And when I went in, he asked me, have you ever been in a Tesla before? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's an Israeli thing for real.
I mean, my ex boyfriend who was into cars is Israeli also. So,
Oh, see, look, we're
I think it
connecting
makes
the
sense.
dots. There's
Connecting the
connection.
dots, the Israelis.
This is
I
no
love it.
coincidence. Yes.
It's no coincidence. Okay. Haley, do you want to tell one more story before we cut to the break?
Sure, sure. What's another? Oh, another recent one. I'm like trying to think like back in the past, present. Um, I went on a date a month ago, also with a guy from this time it was Hinge. I got Hinge for a bit, but it wasn't working out, so I deleted it. But before I deleted it, I went out with this guy. He wanted to grab drinks, and I was like, okay, cool. So he wanted me to meet him there, which is totally fine. So I'm waiting there. He shows up after 15 minutes, which is not a long time to wait. It's all good. And then he didn't order anything, and I was like, "Aren't you gonna get something?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't drink." And I was like, "Why
Oh
did you
my
suggest a
gosh.
bar? Like you're the one that said let's go to a bar." And he was like, "Yeah, but that's just like where else are we gonna go? Like that's the only place people go these days." And I was just like, "No, no, we could have gotten coffee, ice cream. We could have like just walked around somewhere." Anyway, so that was just like whatever. But he was just so, I can't even explain it unless you were there. He was so socially, something wasn't there. He just like also blabbered on. Like he didn't take any breaths. Like he was talking for 30 minutes, took a pause, and then kept talking. He spoke like the whole time. He also didn't ask me anything. He asked me like two questions. And he just spoke about sports a lot. And then he randomly told me, like, he talked about sports and then all of a sudden said, "Oh, do you know that my pet hamster died when I was little?" Like just switching like that,
Like, what the
like
heck?
just out of the nowhere. And I was like, what was I supposed to say? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like, it's hard when a pet passes, like trying to empathize and be nice.
I'm
And
sure.
he was like, yeah. he was like, yeah. He was constipated. He was like full of poo and he couldn't go to the bathroom for a month and he just passed. He literally exploded because he was full of crap. And I was like, Wow, what a story. Thanks, thanks for sharing. And then he like brought it up 10 more times. He was like, we'd be talking about something else. He's like, remember when I told you about my hamster? And I was just like, yeah. He's like, that was funny, huh? And I was like, sure.
No.
Sure. But this was the shortest date I've ever been on because I'm usually so polite. Like, I've never left a date before. I don't know why, because you totally can. Like, I was speaking with a girlfriend recently, and she's like, there's nothing wrong with if it's going really bad and you feel like you're wasting your time or you feel uncomfortable, because I was uncomfortable on that date. You can leave. Like, no one's holding you there. Like, I'm very like polite. And I was like, you know what? You're right. So I went to the bathroom an hour after this. I was like, I have to tell my friend that this is going so bad. And she was like, I'm going to call you and get you out of it. Like, you're going to say that I'm sick and you need to leave. And I was like, that's so mean, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, but are you having a good time? And I was like, no, I'm really uncomfortable. He's making me feel weird. And she was like, okay, like you can totally do the call thing. I've never done that before. But then she called me and I was like, yeah, my friend's so sick. I have to go. And I, mind you, he ordered like dinner and like some beverage, but like not alcohol. And I ordered a Coke because I personally don't like to drink on first dates. That's why I hate when guys always, for the most part, just want to go to bars. Um, I ordered a Coke and I told him, I'm like, I have to go. My friend's really sick. And he was like, oh, it's okay. I understand. Thank God she got me out of it. And I was getting up to leave and like, we're in the middle of the bar and he yells it so loud that everything was dead silent. There was music. He's like, please send me, like, there's an app in Israel called Bit and it's like Venmo where you could send people money. He was like, please send me $3 for your Coke on the app. Like, send
What
me
the
money.
heck?
Yelled it. The waiters and waitresses looked over, other people looked over, and I wanted, like, he shouted it, like the whole bar heard. It was so, yeah. So that was a nice ending, and I just scurried out of there. And I did
For a
send him a
Coke. $3.
$3 Coke. And I'm really polite though. And not only did I send him the $3, I put a little bit of a tip on it.
Oh
My
my
friends were like,
gosh.
wow, you're so nice.
Why?
So I don't know. I'm too polite. I need to stop. I need to learn how to have a little bit of I don't know what, but I even sent him a screenshot after just to show him that I paid. And he did, like, on WhatsApp, you know how you can react to messages? He did like the blessed, like, hands together sign, like, thanks for the
What
$3.
the heck?
Yeah. But also on the date, I realized that it wasn't for, there was so many things like the social awkwardness. He brought up his hamster 20 times. He didn't ask me questions. He was just rambling on and it was just like weird social vibes. And then that Coke thing annoyed me a bit, but also he's like 29 and I asked him, like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I don't do anything. I haven't had a job for 4 years.
What?
So for me, that's not gonna work out. Not that I'm
Probably why
looking,
he needed the $3.
maybe that's why I'm saying. So after, that's why I sent it to him, because I was like, this guy's not working. I'm working. I'm not rich or anything, but I was like, I'll give him the $3. Like, the dude doesn't work. But for me, it's important. Like, I do have standards when I date someone. Like, I do want someone, like, he doesn't have to be a doctor or lawyer. I'm not one of those girls, but I need someone with a job or like a head on his shoulders, like someone that's doing something, like someone that's 29 or 30 and doesn't have a job and just is at home all day and does nothing. He like lives off his parents and all that. Like, you don't know what people are going through. That's fine. Like, I'm sure there's others out there that are like that. But like, for me, dating wise, because I'm looking to date seriously and get married, like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know what
with
I mean? It's
you.
like fair, that's not crazy.
Yeah. I'm not looking to support some man. Like,
Exactly.
I don't want to, listen, it's a part, I see marriage as a partnership. And it's like
For sure.
we both got to bring stuff to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can't financially support a man. I mean, I
I
probably
can't.
could. I probably could, but like I don't want to. Like
Girl, same.
I don't want to like support some man like just sitting at home doing nothing while I'm like
Mhm.
working my butt off at work.
For sure. I'm the same way. Also, living in Israel, anywhere. But like, when you get married or settle down with somebody, it's expensive. Living with someone is expensive. And also,
Yeah.
living in Israel is really expensive. So, like, really, the prices here are insane. Um, so I don't want to be supporting someone else. I want to meet a great guy and we'll come together and be great and we'll support each other and we'll
Yeah. And
long
again,
lasting. Yeah,
it's not a dig at anyone who's like
for
in
sure.
school or like actively pursuing like a career change or looking for something else, like if you're like actively looking for something, but someone who's just like sits at home and lives off their parents for years.
Yeah, he said, he's like, yeah, I just don't have to work, so like why not? Like to me, I need someone that's motivated. Like to me, that's just someone that's like driving,
Yeah.
like
Like
you
your
have
parents
to,
are going to
there's
support you
no
forever.
ambition, there's no drive, like, but for sure, I have a lot of friends that aren't working now. It's not a dig at them at all. I think it's great that people take time off work. You don't have to like work your whole life. That sucks. I totally get it. But like
Yeah.
for him, that's just like
But
different
you have a
situation. Like,
plan.
yeah,
Like
he
if
like
you
has a degree. He has like a bachelor's, a master's in biology, and he's just sitting at home like his parents are flying him places, and he's just like, yeah, he's like, I just don't like, I'm lazy. And I was just like, that's something that's really unattractive
that's
to me,
yeah, that's
you
so
know,
unattractive.
for sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh man. I've gotten guys like that too. So don't worry. Like all the bums, they love me. They see I'm career driven. They're like, oh, she could support me. Like, no, I can't.
Yeah, I can't and I
I
won't take a
can't.
stand.
I won't. If I got to support some man, I'd rather be alone. Like, I don't
For
know.
sure.
I recently came to that conclusion. Like I'm not talking about a guy who just like has a career where he makes less money than I do. Like, okay, money is important, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like, I work so hard and like I don't necessarily love my career. I do it so I can live. Like I make a salary that I can live on and
Mhm.
like that's what I want. But I work really hard. And like I decided like I can't date someone who isn't like that and who just like doesn't do anything. Like, okay, if you're working hard and making less, that's one thing. That's like,
Right.
okay, you're still working hard and you value hard work. But like, if you're just like not doing anything, I'm gonna resent you.
Yeah,
And like, that's like, I can't have I'd rather just like stay by myself because then be in a situation where I'm resenting you this whole time.
for
So,
sure.
ugh, oh my God, these guys, like, I don't understand. Like, 29 years old, like, what the heck?
Yeah, I'm also like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll go out with guys that are older. Not that I wouldn't go out with
No,
someone my age, but I'm like, maybe older, you would think that they would like have careers or be more driven or be more serious, ready to settle or dating
no,
in
they're
hopes of getting
literally
it. Let
not.
me tell you, girls,
They're not.
no, no, no. I've been so wrong about that. Like I've
Yeah.
met guys on the apps, but I have not gone out with them. But on OkCupid that are like 24, and I'm like, I'll accept the match because he seems really nice and he sent me a nice message, and they're like really serious, and I'm just like, oh, but like these 30-year-olds, they're not. Like age doesn't matter when it comes to guys. I
No.
realize it's just like they either
No, they
have it
just
or they
decide.
don't. Yeah,
They
they just
decide when they're ready and that's when they're ready.
yeah.
It's funny.
Mhm.
Um my mom told me I was like talking to her on the phone and like I don't know, I don't talk to her so much about dating, but she'll ask every now and again and I'm like because at first she was like, oh, date an older guy. He'll treat you really nicely. He'll take care of you, all of this and that. Like, I don't need to be taken care of. It is nice to be taken care of. Like,
Mhm.
I'm 29 also. So, like, dating guys in their, and like, so in the past, like, couple of years, like, I've been dating guys in their 30s. And, like, yeah, some of them are great. Some of them are serious. Some of them have it together, but most of them don't. Like,
Mhm.
most of them just don't. And so I was like telling my mom this. I'm like, they're all losers. And she's like, Rachel, you gotta date younger. She's like, date them and get them before they turn into losers. And honestly, I think she's right. And like
She
I
might be
think
onto something. Yeah.
she's on to something. I probably talked about this on the podcast before. So like 26-year-olds, where are you at? Like I'm down for that. 26, 27, like I'm good with that. 25 is a little young still, but like I want someone who's like established in what they're doing and like actually ready to settle down. But
Yeah.
like why would I go out? I think I would much sooner go out with a 26-year-old than a 36-year-old
Right. That's
at
fair.
29. And like, yeah, so that's my new take on it. Not that I've done anything about it. Like, yeah, I still continue to go out with like these guys in their 30s. Honestly, I think like when it comes to age doesn't really matter. I tend to like enjoy dating guys who are around my age more, like within like 2 years of my own age. I just think like
Mhm.
because we can relate to a lot of different things. Like we probably know a lot of the same people. We went to high school in the same generation, like the same TV
Yeah.
shows we're on, like all the same pop culture things, like we know. But I don't know. I think my mom has a point to something. These guys, I don't know. But wait,
Yeah.
so Hailey, before we get on to your next story, let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. So we will be right back. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Are you tired of swiping on dating apps? Tired of guessing whether the cute guy or girl you keep seeing around is Jewish and or single? Then you need to run, not walk, to join Corona Crush. Corona Crush is a Jewish organization working to create Jewish couples always. Corona Crush has over 30 confirmed engagements, over 22,000 members from all over the world, and has set up over 50,000 speed dates. Join the Corona Crush Facebook group and post yourself or have a friend post you and see who reaches out. Fill out the survey to sign up for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. Corona Crush is 100% free and 100% Jewish. Worst case, you end up with some stories of your own. Best case, you find the love of your life. Try it out today. Here on Sticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929 376 9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world. Okay, we're back. Okay, Hailey, let's hear some more.
Let's hear some more. Okay. What is coming to my mind? I moved to Israel when I was 19, and one of the first dates I went on, I back then had Tinder, thought that was a good idea. Not judging people that have Tinder, by the way. I know so many people, like, really, that have gotten married and met like their match on Tinder. For me, it has not worked. But I met this guy on Tinder, and he has a taxi take me. I was living with my aunt at the time in like a house, and he had a taxi pick me up and take me all the way to Tel Aviv, which was like a 30-minute ride to go to this like really nice restaurant. I was like, okay, interesting. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I was also very like new to Israel, new to like dating Israelis. Like, I just kind of like decided to go with the flow kind of thing. And he asked me on the way there, like, we're texting on WhatsApp, and he was like, do you like white wine? And I was like, yeah, I love white wine. So I get to this restaurant. I didn't even know that it was going to be this kind of restaurant. It's the only time I've ever been to a 5-star restaurant. Like, it's a chef. Like, I don't even, you know what I'm talking about. Like, one of those
Yeah.
really fancy places I've never been to before. I also didn't know, like, I expected us to just go to some random whatever. But again, he ordered the taxi,
Yeah.
so I didn't know where I was going. Which I would not do that in the future, by the way. Like, how stupid.
That sounds so dangerous.
I know, I was so innocent
It
back then.
sounds nice. Don't get me wrong. It does sound really nice. Like, if a guy sends me an Uber to just like take me
Yeah,
somewhere, but like maybe after we've already met, or like maybe if a friend set it up,
for sure.
like someone who I knew wasn't gonna murder me.
Yeah, right. I was back then, I was like so like naive. That's the word I was looking for. Really, I just was like oblivious. I really not like, it was fun, and like, it was at a restaurant, but he orders this bottle of wine. I walk inside. It's like this really ridiculously fancy place, and I felt so underdressed. It's like the candles and like romantic like setting, and it's like all dark, whatever. And he was dressed in like a suit, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I in a movie? Like, what's happening? And whatever, he opens the bottle of wine, he's pouring it into my glass, which is nice that he did that, because I wouldn't have. My mom always taught me to be careful. I never accept drinks from people. Like,
Yeah, you have to be
you know,
careful with that.
yeah. So he poured it. That was nice. And the date was overall good in the beginning. Like, we were talking and getting to know each other. He was asking me so many questions, and he was super polite, and he was like Israeli, but he was like a real gentleman. But then some point in the date, he orders, without telling me, shots of, do you know what absinthe is?
Yeah.
So I don't even know why restaurants allow that, because it's so bad. But he ordered these shots to the table, completely did not know that this was happening. And he was like, the shots come, this waiter like brings the shots, and he's like, cheers, like to a great first date. And I was like, I'm not, like, I already had one glass of wine. And he started to like pressure me, like really pressure me to drink more. He was saying like, oh, I ordered like the whole bottle. I purchased a bottle, which he didn't have to, and I didn't ask him
Why?
to. You have to drink it. Like, you only drink one glass. Like, this is really expensive wine. Like, trying to guilt me into drinking more, which was like a very red flag. I was like, ooh, I don't like that. Then that's when he orders the shots a few minutes later, by the way, because I did not want to drink the wine. And he's like, okay, I'll drink it. So I had one glass and he had the rest. So he was kind of drunk at that point. Then he orders those shots of absinthe, and they come. And I had it before in the past, wild story, but I smelled it and I was like, whoa, like, I'm not like drinking any more alcohol, because I wanted to stop at the glass, but I was like, especially not. I was like, what is this? And he's like, it's I was like, I'm not drinking that. And he was like, yeah, but I ordered it. It's like 60 shekels, which is like $15, like for a shot. And I was like, I didn't ask you to order this. Like, I told you that I don't want to drink after this one glass. Like, I'm uncomfortable. The one glass is my limit. Like, I don't know you. I don't want to keep drinking. So he took
Yeah.
both shots.
Oh my God.
He took both shots, which, it's like 40% alcohol or something,
Yeah. That
right?
like messes you up.
And he
I've
was
never
already like,
had it, but I really don't have
you
any interest in it.
you shouldn't. I was
I'm like,
pressured.
yeah.
I was peer pressure to drink it, like in 12th grade. Don't do it. You're not missing out. Don't ever drink absinthe if
No.
people offer it to you. But anyway, so he had, like, think about it. Like, I had a fourth of the bottle of wine. He had the other three-fourths. So he was already like wine drunk. Then he drinks these two shots, and he was drunk. And then we grabbed the bill, he pays it, and then he like went to the bathroom, and he's like, I'll be back. He goes to the bathroom, and then like I'm on my phone, whatever, texting friends, just checking stuff as you do. And then all of a sudden I feel someone's arms around me, and he starts like nibbling at my ear, like kissing
Ugh.
my ear from behind. And I jumped up and I was like, oh my gosh, like, you really scared me. He's like, obviously he's drunk. And I was like, please, like, stop. Like, I don't like it. I don't know you. And he's like, I'm having such a great time. And then I was like, okay, I want to go home. And like, it was already really late at that point. There were like no buses. Like, that's how I usually get around in Israel, like buses or trains. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get myself a taxi. And he was like, no, I'll get it. And I was like, no, really, like, you've done enough, it's fine. But he insisted. But he was like, I'm not getting you the taxi until you come up to my apartment. Like, there's something I
Oh
want to
my God.
shout.
Oh
I want
God.
to have a piano. I want to play a song for you, like, whatever. And I was like so scared, because I was very like naive and whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, but I knew like there were so many red flags, especially went from the wine. I already knew. And I
Mhm.
just, like, more than anything, wanted so badly to go home. I was like praying, like, please, like I need to leave. But I wasn't like tough enough to leave myself, because I was so naive. I was just like, I felt like obligated that I had to stay there because he paid for my date, which I'm different now. But back then, when
No,
I
don't.
started the date, I mean, that was years ago when I was 19. So lots changed. I've grown a lot. But at the
Yeah.
time, I was like, I really did. I felt obligated. I was like, this guy paid like $300 at this fancy restaurant. I felt obligated. But eventually he ordered the taxi and I went home. And then he wrote me like the same night this whole paragraph like on WhatsApp where you have to scroll because it's so long
Oh my
about
gosh.
about how a wonderful girl I am and like you're so special and I've never met anyone like you and it's because you're half Israeli, half American. Like this is why like Americans are so great and you just like are so gentle and polite and like I would love to see you again and blah blah blah. And I was just like, no. And then he was like, if you ever change your mind, if you want to grab a beer or pizza or just someone to talk to, I'm here for you. And he sent me like 10 hearts and kissy faces. It's just
I
so
don't like
great.
that. I don't like
Yeah.
that. Like, you don't know
Mhm.
me.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know. This is like my message to girls. And like, I think all my listeners already really know this. Like, just because a guy pays for your date, all you owe him is a thank you. Just say
For
thank
sure.
you. And
Hmm.
that's all you owe him. You don't owe him to go into his apartment. You don't
Yeah.
owe him anything sexual. You don't owe him anything. Just
Yeah.
say thank you. Like, be polite and give him a thank you. Like, I would say that's all you owe him.
Yeah.
Like, just say thank you for paying for my meal. Thank you for paying for my drink. Like, that's it. That's all you owe him. Never feel like, I don't know. I've definitely been in situations too where I feel pressure to like not in nothing extreme, but like I feel pressure to drink more, or I also
Yeah.
like I'm not such a big drinker. If I go out for drinks on a first date with a guy, like I'll get one drink. Usually
Mhm.
I'll try to eat before also, so it's like fine. Like I have a low tolerance, but it's not like that crazy low. Like I'm not going to be like totally wasted after one drink. Even
Yeah.
after two drinks, I'm still going to be fine. I might have a light buzz, but I don't know. Like I've had guys who like want to get a second drink. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It depends if I'm having a nice time. Sometimes I just like feel bad. I'm like, don't pay for a second drink for me. Like these cocktails are expensive, but
Yeah.
never like let a guy make you feel pressured, I
For
think.
sure. That's good advice. No, I definitely don't do that now, but like back then, I mean, that was 6 years ago, so lots changed, but
Yeah, you were
you
young.
live and you learn. Yeah. And thank goodness nothing happened and I never saw him again. But I remember I was just genuinely terrified. And that's I think it's so funny because that date was so long ago, but I really think it's why I hate like a lot of Israeli guys most of the time will ask you like, okay, let's go meet up at a bar or go to a bar. And I'm just like, ugh, like for me, just because I've been so traumatized, I'm like, I'd rather do anything else. Like I don't want to drink for me personally on a first date. Like if I go to a bar, it's fine, but I'll like
Mm.
order a Coke or something. Like I haven't had a drink on a date probably since that date for a first date. Like that's how much that affected me. I was like, no more. No thanks.
Honestly, I feel like you could tell a guy like if he's like, "Oh, do you want to could we do like a bar or something?" You could be like, "Honestly, I actually really prefer to not
Yeah.
drink on a first date. Like, could we do like ice cream instead?" Like,
Right.
I think that's valid.
Yeah. I
And
just, yeah.
a guy who respects you will like say that. Or it's like, "Oh, like I'm fine going to a bar, but I'm just letting you know I don't drink on first dates, so I could order a soda, or if you would rather, like maybe we could get ice cream instead."
For
I think
sure.
ice
Yeah.
cream is a good medium.
Right. It's so fun and it's yummy.
Yeah, and it's like, okay. And you could go from ice cream to somewhere else. Like,
Right.
but I don't know. Everyone loves ice cream. Unless
I
it's like the
know.
fitness like crazies that you go out with that don't eat sugar.
For some reason. That's how next time I'll suggest ice cream. If they say no, and I'll be like, why? Maybe I'll like
Oh, then you could weed out if they're like fitness crazy people.
right.
Like,
And then change my mind. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Hailey, do you have more stories to share?
I've been on so many, so I know that I do, but I'm trying to think of like another one. Uh. Well, I guess I maybe have one more that I'd be willing to share.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I went to this party 2 years ago and excuse me, and I met this guy that was like friends with a friend of mine, like mutual friends, and we hit it off and he was super nice. And he asked for my Instagram and then he asked me out on there. I was like, sure. Excuse me. And he picked me up from my apartment, which is nice. I love how all these guys are picking me up. He like also didn't live close to me in Israel. He lived like a 40 minutes, 50 minutes one way. So it was so nice that he insisted on picking me up. Like, I didn't ask to be picked up, but he was like, no, I really want to pick you up. Like, let me pick you up. It's not a big deal, even though he lived like in the city far away. And that was nice, but he really insisted. So he did pick me up on a Saturday night. I really am going on dates Saturday nights. That's my thing, I guess. And I guess I'm just realizing it now talking to you. But he picks me up from my apartment, and gosh, I can't. We barely leave the parking space. Like in Israel, there's lots of parallel parking. So he's parallel parked. There was a car in front of him, a car behind him. He slowly gets out and like makes it out of the parking space, and then goes literally 2 yards forward, and he crashes
Oh no.
into a parked car, like my neighbor's car. This
Oh
poor,
no.
and he was gonna write a note on the windshield, which is so nice. So he like to take accountability. So he was like, oh gosh, he got out, he like saw the damage. There was damage on his car, and hers was like a small scratch, like maybe less than an inch, but it was his dad's car that he borrowed. And there was like
Oh
a foot
no.
scratch on the side of the door. It was bad. So he's writing out the note to like write his number, because there were no people outside, so he couldn't ask anyone like, is this your car? And then out of my apartment building, this lady comes out. I feel bad, she was like elderly, and she's like, that's my car. She's like, oh my gosh, my car. And he felt so bad, and they were talking and exchanging info, and she was freaking out. But I'm just like sitting there awkwardly, like, all right. And he's apologizing, like, no, it's fine. So I'm sitting there for like 30-40 minutes. He gets done with that. He's like, well, that's a great start. Like, it's only 5 minutes into the date, and like I crashed the car. And I was like, are you okay? Like, we can do it another time. Like, this is a lot. And he was like, no, it's fine. I really want to see you. We drive to this like pancake house, and order pancakes, and we're talking, and it's going okay. Um, but yeah, it's going okay. But he gave kind of weird vibes just with what he was saying. And then he started talking about aliens for like half an hour. Um, like, it's fine. Everyone has their interests, but he was just going on and on about aliens, and how we're related to aliens and stuff. And I was just like, listening, but I was just like, oh gosh, like this is weird, but whatever. Like, people believe what they believe. Um, but then on the date, I found out that he's completely atheist, and I was like, oh, this is not for me anyway. Like, because Judaism and my values are very important. Like, I'm not gonna go out with someone that's atheist. That's just like a big no-no for me. I didn't say it to him in his face. I was like, whatever, gonna tell him after. But he just said he was atheist and he doesn't believe in God. He believes in aliens. Lovely. And then he drives me back to my apartment, and I give him a hug, and I'm like, thanks for the date. Like, whatever. It was nice to see you again after the party. And then he leans in for a kiss, and I just wasn't feeling comfortable with that. I just didn't want to. So I kind of like pushed him away, like lightly, and like my body language, like I turned my body. And then he grabbed my shoulders really aggressively and tried to kiss me again. And that point, I pushed him really hard. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm trying to kiss you. And I was like, well, I don't want you to kiss me. Like, I'm not comfortable. Like, it's a first date. I hardly know you. I don't feel like I want to kiss you or be kissed right now. And he was like, he said word for word, he was like, but I drove all this way to take you out. You owe me this much.
What?
Yes. Yeah. And I was just like, I literally got out of the car and I slammed the door so hard. Um, I was furious because I was like, who does this guy think he is? Like, one thing that I tell my friends or people in general is, when it comes to dating, or not even dating, in life, you don't owe anybody anything. Not in relationships, not in your job. You don't owe people anything. You owe yourself to respect yourself and do what's good for you as a person. And the fact that he said that really bugged me. Because I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this guy insisted to pick me up. He did not have to. He, like, multiple times we were going back and forth, and he really wanted to pick me up. And he's saying that I need to kiss him at least that because he picked me up from my apartment to go on a date with me. I was horrified. I was disgusted, really. He obviously wanted to go out again. I was just like, don't contact me. But I was just like disgusted. I was like, that's so nasty. Like,
Yeah.
the date wasn't even that bad. It was okay. But then, like, to end it on that note, and to like to try to pressure me or saying that I have to kiss you, and to grab me and be like this is what's gonna happen right now, like, not cool. Yeah.
Yeah. honestly, like, as unsexy as it is, like, ask a girl.
I think that's very attractive, by the way. When a guy asks a girl, is it okay if I kiss you or whatever? That's so respectful to me. Like, I feel like a lot of guys aren't like that today, and it's such a shame. Like, I don't know. I like gentlemen, but yeah, I realize all the
Yeah.
dates that I've been telling you are like Israelis, so maybe I need to shift gears and
Maybe
date
date
like
some Americans.
for sure. Because I was like, okay, I moved to Israel. I'm Israeli American, but I'm really American, and like I would love to date an Israeli. They just like know Israel better, and like for the future, like my kids won't have Hebrew problems because they're gonna be have like one Israeli parent. I'm just at this point, I'm just like honestly, I'm to the point where like the next time, because I decided to take a break from dating for now. The next time I decide to that I want to date, I might just like look for guys that are not 100% Israeli. Not that I'm saying for sure you can't categorize people, but the fact that I've been on like so many dates, it just makes me want to maybe shift gears and try something different.
Yeah.
Like, just because these dates, I'm telling you, I was telling my friends, I'm like, all these dates are so bad, maybe I'm the problem. And then I'm talking about it out loud, and I'm like, no, I'm not the problem. These dates are like really not good, or these guys are really not okay. Like, you know,
Yeah. No, and I don't know. Again, we're not categorizing all
for
Israeli
sure
guys are
not. Yeah.
bad. Like, they're really not. There are some really great Israeli guys. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. But oh man.
Just what I've gotten hasn't been great, but I'm not to say that I won't do Israeli. I'm not like saying no, the door is closed, but maybe
Yeah.
I'll like broaden it a bit, or like prefer to maybe go on a few dates with non-Israelis and see how that's different. Maybe I don't know. Not categorizing again because that's not fair, and like you can't put people in a that's just not how that works. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Just,
so
oh gosh. I think it's just like it is, but it is a cultural thing, I think. Like
mm-hmm.
they're a little bit pushier and
Yes, pushy.
all of that. And like Israelis in general are pushy with like other things too, which sometimes it's great. I used to have a motto in Israel, like getting on a bus. Like my motto was push or be pushed. Like
Right.
you're trying to get on a bus, it's Friday afternoon, like you're trying to get somewhere before Shabbat starts, like
Yeah,
push or be pushed. It's every man for himself. But
it's
like I
true.
think in general, like Israelis are pushy. You go to the shuk, which is like the outdoor market in Israel.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's pushing each other, even at the grocery store. Like it's just like a pushy mentality.
For
And like
sure,
sometimes
for
it doesn't
sure.
translate well.
Mhm.
So consent is sexy.
For sure.
Um
I agree.
like even if it might kill a moment, like just ask a girl. I
Yeah.
like being asked. Like if you could do it in a smooth way where you know you have my consent, but like don't say the words, okay, great. But like otherwise, like I'm okay being asked.
For sure. I would love it to be asked. Like that to me would elevate. Like I'd find a guy more attractive if he were to ask. I'm like, oh, that's so nice because that's just something that doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Like,
I think it's
can
just
I kiss
polite.
you? Can I
Yeah.
hold your hand? Can I give you a hug? Like, don't
Yeah,
just
like when you're first
assume,
dating for sure. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
you
don't
know,
just assume that physical contact is like you're gonna get it. Like,
uh-huh.
you have to, you need permission.
Yes, you do, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
But it's okay to say no. I say no so many times in my life, not with just dating. No is one of my favorite words. It's totally fine to just be like, no.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's okay to say no. I have a friend, and a while back, like we were doing, she's like, I want to do a month of yes, where I just say yes to everything. And she
Oh
got so
no.
burnt out by it that she's like, I'm doing a month of no now. But
She
like
like has to level the field.
her month of no is like a year of no, like literally. Like I already know when I invite her to stuff, I'm like, I already know you're gonna say no. But also, like for me, like now that she's doing it, I don't feel pressure to do things I don't want to do either. Like sometimes like there are things that you should do and you should go to, and it's like as much as I don't want to go, I'm gonna go because like this person's important to me or something like that. But
Right.
like it's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to say no to in dating also. Like I'm going through this right now. It's like I feel like I have to say yes to a guy to go like on a date or have a phone call at least, as long as he doesn't like immediately, like nothing sticks out immediately as a reason why I should say no. But like sometimes I need to look at it. I'm like, but why am I going to say yes?
Right.
Like, okay, there's no reason to say no, but is there a reason to say yes? And
I
like
get
that's
that.
what personally, like that's what I'm going through right now. It's like I don't have to go out with every guy who suggested to me or every guy who wants to like go out with me. And like even if there's nothing like visibly wrong, if it doesn't feel right to me, I don't have to say yes. So
For sure.
ladies, you can say no. Guys say no all the time. Like don't get me wrong. Like guys say no all the time. So girls, like don't be pressured to say yes.
Very good advice. That's very true.
That's my piece of advice for the day.
Nice.
But okay, so Hailey, you said that was the last of your stories, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into our like closing section. So now that I just gave like a bunch of pieces of my advice, Hailey, can you give my listeners one piece of dating advice?
Yes, my piece of dating advice is always go with your gut feeling. Even if you have like a gut feeling that a date's like you're not comfortable in the date, or even talking to someone and you have this feeling like, I don't know why, but I don't want to continue this. There doesn't have to be an explanation for you for your gut feeling. Like I always say, trust your gut, because at the end of the day, your gut is always right. Go with your gut.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, and for the final bit, Hailey, what is your Real Housewife tagline?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Is this considered a tagline? I would say like my tagline, so cheesy, but I haven't been lucky in love, but I do believe that there's someone out there for me.
Yeah, that's great. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's my tagline. I'm very faith. I have a lot of faith.
I'm glad you have faith. Don't lose the faith because I lose it all the time. And I'm like, I'm just going to die alone. And like, that's going to be okay. And then it's like, I don't know. It's good to have faith. Sometimes I'm hopeful, sometimes I'm not. So keep your faith, keep your hope, and hopefully it'll
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah, for sure. You just have to believe, and there's a time for everyone. Like it's so easy to lose faith. I also do, but I believe that there's like the right timing for people, just have to live your
Yeah.
life, and when you meet that special person, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Hopefully. Hopefully. Today I'll agree with you for myself. I'm sure
Today.
for you it'll happen. For me today, maybe I'll agree. I'll see.
I'm sure
Depends
it'll
on the day.
happen for you too.
We'll see. If not, I'll just do this podcast forever. And you guys can listen to me be like 50 and like, but then I'll give up on dating though. I don't think like, I think at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I'm just like gonna go. I have like my life plan where I'm just like, I'm gonna go buy a condo on the beach somewhere and just like live a happy, peaceful life somewhere warm.
Ooh, sounds so nice.
And like, okay, like whatever I have in savings to like buy a house, like I'll just use it to buy my condo. And it'll be
Mhm.
nicely furnished. And like when my friends want to escape their husbands and their kids, they could come to me for a weekend.
I love that. I feel like people always need to escape.
This is my escape plan. This is my like I don't know, I go back and forth on what my backup life plan is. It's like, oh, I could have kids on my own, modern day technology, but like I don't know. I don't want to like raise kids by myself. So,
No.
yeah,
Yeah,
condo on the beach.
condo on the beach.
Condo on the beach. Or maybe find a husband. We'll see. We can still have a condo on the beach.
Which one's easier though? That's the question.
Which one's easier? Probably just buying a condo on the beach somewhere. It's hard to find a guy who like wants to move out of New York. And I'm like, I just don't want to be here anymore. So,
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah.
yeah, but we'll see. That's to be discussed later on. Anyway,
Yes.
I digressed a lot. But Hailey, this was so fun. Your stories are wild. The Israeli men out there. Um, I love it though. I
Okay.
love hearing it.
Thanks for
Hopefully,
having me.
hopefully you won't have more stories in the future. Hopefully, like you get some normal ones
Oh,
whenever you
amen.
decide to go
Preach.
back to dating.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And guys, if you're listening and you're a normal dude who lives in Israel and like wants to date Hailey, like let me know. I can try to set it up. I'm an aspiring shotcon. Haven't been successful yet, but like I no. The thing is, I feel like I have good ideas, but nobody wants to go out with my ideas. So maybe one time someone will and then realize that I actually have good ideas. So we'll see. We'll see.
Oh gosh,
But
I get that. Easier said than done. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, Hailey, this has been a pleasure. This is so much fun. Thank you so much again.
Thanks.
And Sticky Situation Nation, you'll catch me next time. Bye, everybody.